Hey, and we are the Coalition. We're here again at your City of Pawtucket School Committee meeting. It was quite a meeting tonight. Not really in the controversial sense, but just in how many important things we got done. We're speaking to Mr. Charbonneau for the very first time. And again, I'm grateful for the fact that members of the committee have always been willing to, after a full and rewarding evening, have been willing to speak with us on some certain issues. My understanding, you proposed the amendment, or excuse me, the motion to keep the Walsh School out of the Unified High School.
Yes.
And that passed to pretty overwhelmingly. Now, a couple of school department committee members were absent tonight.
Right.
Explain to us why you think it's important that the Walsh School be kept in sort of a separate status.
Well, I think we've been talking about this, as you've heard from the Jackie Walsh community. We've been talking about this for the better part of a year and a half, 2 years, whether they would be included, whether they wouldn't be, whose decision it was, if it was the school committee or the Unified High School subcommittee. And so they've been kind of strung along for the last year and a half as to where they would actually attend school. So I thought it was important to give them closure and a resolution once and for all. And you know, we had an active marketing campaign in the city that said to the voters it was the combining of Shea and Tolman. There wasn't any reference of JMW on the marketing campaign for the ballot question.
Is it important to keep an art school with, or any real, shall we say, school with a separate, distinct mission, physically separate? I mean, do you think that speaks to the type of community building and the support system that happens as a result of that?
Sure, I think you can look at it both ways. You know, you can say that keeping a art school separate is, you know, adds to the community. It adds options. It adds. It brings in income to the community. It is a tuition based. We have out of district students who attend JMW. But the fact of the matter is that the JMW community advocated passionately for their own independence. And I think it's important that we listen to our constituents.
Another big issue tonight, and this gets a little bit more into I'll say the weeds of school management, but the school building administration, and in conjunction with RIDE, if I understand correctly, came up with millions of dollars for school systems to upgrade some important yet very often unseen technology and infrastructure. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important. I said it tonight that I don't know that really the governor and the commissioner are getting the credit they deserve for this initiative. I believe it was Governor McKee at the time who initiated this SBA loan in 2021 with a $10 million commitment. That commitment's been raised to $30 million. Pawtucket's come out of this. Tonight you heard that we're going to do $2.2 million worth of playground upgrades, and it's going to cost the taxpayers $163,000. And the prior initiative, when the governor first rolled it out, there was $10 million in the initiative, and Pawtucket got 4.5 of that. So I think it's incredibly important to help us continue the work we're doing in the district.
And like many urban, older New England mill towns, you've suffered over the years because of the inability to take this one-shot capital infusion and address issues with a laser-like focus. You know, is that money generally available these days to just
Right.
for you to find on your own?
Right. You hear a lot about the ESSER funds and the millions and tens of millions of dollars associated with ESSER funds. But there's also, you know, a ton of conditions on what it can be spent for, how it has to be spent. And so it's not a blank check for the districts to use as they best see fit. There are certain conditions and very stringent conditions around that ESSER money. So when the governor comes out and the commission with an initiative like this, and the school building authority gets on board, that's what really helps keep the momentum going.
Winter school, wow.
Winter school.
Real tragedy there because, you know, a little bit of rough and tumble in its opening in terms of certain infrastructural issues within the winter school, just sort of part of the process. An amazing facility. And I think you and I had a very brief chat at the time where he remarked how teachers immediately made it their own. Even before the opening, you walked around the halls, we did a tour with Mayor Grebian, and you saw that these teachers had embraced their classrooms. It's this
Right.
beautiful facility. To see something out of left field like this, what's your thought on how the teamwork that's been exhibited by different contractors, how that's manifested itself on the city of Pawtucket?
Yeah, I think what you've seen, and certainly our heart goes out to the Winters community, the teachers, the staff, the families in that neighborhood that attend that school. It's a magnificent facility. And it's been a bumpy road getting the first few months. And to have that coil burst on a Saturday evening and not discover it until Monday morning, you can imagine the damage that's there. Having said that, I think what we've always tried to do is prepare, and we assemble teams, we go through rigorous contracts and interview process, and we develop the best team for the project at hand. I think you've heard that from our partners tonight, Gilbane and Colliers, Slam. These people, the project's over in essence. The building's up, the kids have been in school, but they've all rallied back here in large part because they feel a connection to Pawtucket, they feel a connection to that building, and they want to make sure that we provide the best, safest learning environment for our students.
And final question, there a little bit of confusion tonight. Your school committee is about to embark on a search process for a brand-new superintendent, and that's always a challenge. Buddy Cianci often referred to it as an intergalactic search.
Right.
The question, do you promote from within? Interestingly enough, this past week, the city of Providence chose to promote their chief from within, and there were tragedies and a lot of developments over the weekend that he was able to march right into and respond to public needs and safety issues effortlessly. So, number one, are you comfortable with now how the search process in terms of the committee structure itself is going to go?
Well, I think you heard tonight, right, that was some of the confusion, that the item was on the agenda, but we really shouldn't have had it on the agenda because the committee hadn't voted to establish a search committee to begin with. So I think there's some fine tuning that goes on there. I think we'll have it right by the next agenda. And that process will be one that is rigorous, that is, casts a wide net. And I think we'll look at every candidate and we'll make the decision that best serves the students of the Pawtucket School Department.
The department has a tradition of taking people from the community successfully, people who have invested, in some cases, decades here, and bringing them up through the ranks. Is that a preference, or do you think that's just equal weight with an outsider?
Well, I think it's equal weight with an outsider. I mean, I think we've been fortunate. We've had some superintendents. Our current superintendent was a music teacher, been in the district for 30 years, and rose up through the ranks. Our acting superintendent has been in the district for years, but our prior superintendent had come to the district a few years prior to taking the helm. So I think it's worked both ways in recent history, and I think the committee will look long and hard at it. It's one of the most important decisions we'll make.
And finally, is that a process you think will be done by summertime, or is there really still an open window on that?
Well, I would anticipate that we get the agenda language right, we form the committee, and then we go out. It's probably about a month where the posting is circulated around all our vehicles, and then there's probably another month or two of narrowing it down and interview process. So I would say by the summer, we should have a candidate, or if not, we should be close to having whittled down what I anticipate will be a large field down to a few. So I would think June or July is a right time frame.
Excellent. Mr. Charbonneau, again, it's been a long and rewarding day for you. You, like everyone else on this committee, you have a demanding job in the dreaded private sector during the day, and then you volunteer your time here multiple nights a week. It's really a labor of love, so thank you again for your long-term service to the community. And it's in challenging situations like this that sometimes the mettle is tested, and y'all have responded admirably on behalf of the city of Pawtucket.
Yeah, Pat, thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. I mean, we are a resilient community, right? Pawtucket is a resilient community, and our best days are still ahead of us. I think we all believe that, and you're right. Sometimes in these tough moments, in these difficult times, we kind of find our footing, and that gives us the courage and the strength to keep moving forward. I think that's what we'll do as a school committee, that's what we'll do as a department, and that's what we'll do as a city.
It's all about the kids, right?
All about the kids.
God bless, lad. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Pat.